Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Divine Traveler, A Tale Behind the Stone Walls. This is episode 3 and in this episode I would be covering only day 9 where we travel to two places, Bobbili and Jayathi. Both Bobbili and Jayathi belong to the historic Vizianagaram district about which I would be elaborating a bit in this episode. And that is particularly the reason why I am keeping this video short. Day 9 and we start from our hotel JJ Inn Hotel at Rajam. And our first destination of the day was Bobbili. Bobbili is around 45 kilometers from Rajam and it lies in Vizianagaram district only, as I mentioned earlier. The road is very good. 45 kilometers you should be able to cover in around 1 hour of time. After covering the temples at Bobbili, we moved to a place called Jayathi. Jayathi is a village. It's a very remote village which is around 35 kilometers from Bobbili. And it's again in Vizianagaram district only. But Jayathi is a very remote place and the roads are in very bad conditions. Especially it was raining, so the conditions were even worse. But you will enjoy the drive through the villages on way to Jayathi. That is for sure. So we reached Jayathi in around another 1.5 hours, and after Jayathi, our destination of stay for the day was Vizianagaram city. We stayed in a hotel called Hotel VR Grand, which is very well located in Vizianagaram city and very near to the bus stand. I start by discussing a brief about the history of the Vizianagaram city and the Vizianagaram dynasty of late 18th century. First and foremost, I would like to request everyone not to confuse Vizianagaram with Vijayanagar dynasty of Karnataka, where Hampi is situated. The two are completely different. There is a very small connection which I would be discussing after a few minutes. The history of Vizianagaram dates back to 900 BC, which is the Kalinga period, and this has been revealed by excavations of ASI, from which time copper coins have been excavated. Apart from the normal Hindu dynasties, there are a lot of remains of Buddhists and Jains which have been found in this area, which makes this place very historic. The city of Vizianagaram finds its significance for a lot of things. Number one and the most important is the Battle of Bobbili, or the Bobbili Mahayuddham, which took place in the year 1757 between the Rajas of Vizianagaram, aided by French General Bussy, and the Rajas of Bobbili city. The war is specially known for the valor and pride with which the soldiers and the kings of Bobbili fought the Rajas of Vizianagaram, although they lost at the end, but it was a battle which is always remembered in the history. The second is the Battle of Chandurthi, which took place in the year 1758 between the French and the British to take control over the northern Sirkars. The battle was won by British, and through a farman of the then Mughal King Shah Alam, the entire northern Sirkar was handed over to the control of the British. The third is the generation of various rebels from the place who fought against the British for various rights. I would be discussing these things one by one. Vizianagaram was a princely estate which was ruled by Pushapati kings and the Gajapati Maharajas. Maharaja Vijayarama Gajapati Raju was a notable king. They are basically Suryavanshi Kshatriyas and their ancestors are Udaipur Maharanas. In 1794, Vishakhapatnam, then known as Visakhapatnam, was divided into 3 divisions. Almost the entire area of Vizianagaram, current day, was placed under the 2nd division. After the abolition of Zamindari system in 1948, Vizianagaram became part of the newly carved out Srikakulam district, and in 1979, Vizianagaram was made into a completely different district. During the Kora Malliya rebellion, Vizianagaram was part of the 2nd division of Visakhapatnam district. The rebel of Kora Malliya against the British in the 1900 marked the beginning of the peasant movement in the north and northern coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh. This was a very important event in the context of Vizianagaram city. Kora Malliya was a tribal leader from Salur region of Visakhapatnam, and he was a very charismatic leader of the Konda Dora movement. He, along with his tribal army of around 5,000, fought with the British with using their bamboo sticks as weapons, and in response, the district magistrate of Vizianagaram city at that time had to ultimately send reserve polices to counter their attack. It was a very important war where and they fought very fiercely with the British reserve forces, but ultimately they lost. Kora Malia and his son was arrested, who ultimately died in the jail. Our first destination today is the Bobbili and Bobili's Venugopalaswamy Temple. There were a lot of places to visit in Bobbili, but we could not visit all of them because the weather was not very much suitable for us. It was raining and we had to move ahead early. Before moving to the temple, a brief about the Bobbili history and the War of Bobbili on 1757. The town of Bobbili was found in the 17th century by Pedda Rayadu, who was the 15th descendant of the Raja of Venkatgiri estate from Nellore. The town was initially named Pebuli, then it was named Bebuli, and with time it was named Bobbili. The Venkatgiri estate of Nellore was found in the year of 1208 and by warrior king Velugoti, and it existed till the time of the Kakatiya rules under the Kakatiya king Ganapati Devarai. Later on, after the Kakatiyas, the Venkatgiri estate became feudatories of the Vizianagaram dynasty of Karnataka. This is the only minute connection that Vizianagaram dynasty has with Vizianagaram, because Bobbili later became part of Vizianagaram district. Coming back to the Bobbili war now, after Chikakol, which is the current day Srikakulam, Eluru, which is current day Elore, and Rajamundi were conceded by the Subedar of Deccan to General Bussy, the Treaty of Aurangabad was signed. French General Bussy was given a very warm welcome by the King of Rajamundry. However, at this time, as I mentioned earlier, Vizianagaram was part of the bigger Vishakhapatnam district, which consisted of all these areas, and Bobbili was also part of this. Now, there were differences which arose between the Rajas of Bobbili and the Rajas of Vizianagaram on conceding their power to under General Bussy, and this led to the War of Bobbili. The town of Bobbili is around 55 kilometers from the city of Vizianagaram. The Bobbilis at this time fought under the guidance of General Tandra Paparaidu, and their king and their Raja was Gopala Raidu. Tandra Paparaidu has been known as the tiger of the Bobbili kingdom, and it is under him that the Bobbilis fought so fiercely with the Rajas of Vizianagaram that their valor and pride is still remembered. Although the Bobbilis lost and the kingdom was ultimately Bobbili was ultimately conceded to the French, the valor with which they fought is still remembered today. After the war, the fort was completely destroyed. The clan of the Rajas was completely destroyed, and the city was completely destroyed too. Venugopalaswamy was the family deity of the royal family of Bobbili. Ever since the Bobbili kingdom was found in the 17th century, the royal family was very religious. After the devastating war of Bobbili, the entire Bobbili fort was destroyed, and the temple was and the ancient idol was lost somewhere in the ruins. The descendant of the royal family, Chinna Ranga Rao, took over the reins of Bobbili, and he got a temple constructed out of the ancient idol which he found in the ruins. Today it stands as the only temple in the entire area, and the temple is situated near the royal residence. The entrance Gopuram was constructed by Shweta Chalapati Ranga Rao in 1851, and the Venugopalaswamy Temple is the only temple in the region where the main Gopuram is taller than the main temple. Radhe Radhe Govind Radhe 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 Govind Radhe. The temple is dedicated to Lord Vishnu and is an architectural masterpiece with rich works of sculptures all through the walls and rich iconographies throughout the temple. The temple is built in a typical Dravidian style with a front gopuram and a vimana above the Garbhagriha, and the entire temple is enclosed in a compound which is very typical to a Dravidian style of architecture of temples. Although the temple is just 200 years old, the iconographies on the walls of the temples resemble any of the ancient temples which are more than 1000 years old, which is very rare. The pillars of the temple are skillfully carved, with the walls of the temple having the sculptures of various avatars of Lord Vishnu throughout. Apart from these, there are iconographies of Yalis, Hindu gods like Parshuram, and there are also iconographies of Gandharvas and Apsaras throughout the temple.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe.
Sculptors from the Golapalli village near the Bobbili town are known for the manufacturing of veenas, also known as Bobbili veena. There are around 300 families who are involved in the manufacturing of veenas, and their livelihood depends on this only on this for almost the last 100 years. A single piece of panasa and saptangi wood is used for the manufacturing of these veenas. Apart from the Venugopalaswamy Temple and the Bobbili veena, Bobbili is also famous for the musical concert hall which is present here. It is said that the pillars of the musical concert hall are similar to the ones which are present in Hampi, and knocking onto the pillars creates sound similar to the ones in the Hampi temple, Hampi Vijay Vithala temple. Bobbili Veena village, Golapalli, and the musical concert hall were the ones which we could not visit. We could only visit the temple at the temple of Venugopalaswamy because of the conditions at that time. Anyone who is visiting these areas, we would suggest them try to visit these two areas also. Our next destination after Bobbili was a place called Jayathi, which is a very remote village but still in the district Vizianagaram. We had found out this information that this village has two ancient brick temples, and we wanted to visit those. Going to a history a bit, the Kalinga style of architecture of temples was majorly prevalent in the areas which was previously known as Kalinga region of India, and the region comprised of majorly Orissa, Chhattisgarh, parts of Telangana and northeastern parts of Andhra Pradesh. Mostly this region was ruled by Hindu dynasties only, and they built some brilliant temples over the years, apart from patronizing few Buddhist and Jain monuments too. The construction of Kalinga style of architecture temples continued till the 13th century, starting from early 7th or 6th century, for which evidences are there. Talking about Jayathi, we found out later that Jayathi is one of the 12 notable sites where Kalinga styled architecture of temples are present. Jayathi, which is a very remote village, has two surviving brick temples, one dedicated to Durga or Parvati and the other dedicated to Lord Ganesha. We visited the temples and we found out that although they are very small in size, but they are mainly Rekha Deul structures of Kalinga style of architectures. But within that single structures, they have enormous amount of iconographies within the walls. And since the structures are in a very dilapidated state, even then the iconographies on the walls are so intact, it gives us an idea that when the temple was originally built and over the years how beautiful the temples would have been. Now we tried to figure out which king or which dynasty constructed these two temples, but we were not able to find out till now about the origins of the temple. There is a little bit of legend which is available on the place Jayathi, and it says that Jayanta, who was the son of Lord Indra, had to defeat the Rakshasas, for which he constructed two temples at this particular areas, and accordingly the name of the place was originally put as Jayanta, and later it got modified into Jayathi. Later, during the Kalinga period, original temples, of course, we had no idea how they looked, but during the Kalinga period, one of the dynasties might have constructed the present day temples which are present there. The village is very beautiful. The roads are very bad, as I have explained in my first video, that internal roads in Andhra are not at all good, but the drive is through a very scenic green area, and the village is very beautiful. You can spend 1 or 2 hours there easily, like exploring the area. So friends, this is it for this part of the episode. This is a very small video which I am releasing, and I have covered only a single day here, and accordingly my next video will be released within 2 or 3 days. So keep watching and keep following my videos, and I would request you to subscribe to my channel also to get regular updates of whenever I release videos on my channel. I hope you are liking and enjoying my videos, and do comment on the comment section. Thank you. Thanks a lot.